Hello, I am Joe Ty, and in my day job, I am CEO and head coach of a company called Values Coach Inc. And we do training and consulting on values, values-based leadership, values-based corporate culture for hospitals and other healthcare organizations all across North America. So when it comes to healthcare quality and medical ethics, I know what I'm talking about. And I'm assuming that you're watching this and the other videos I've done on Lasik eye surgery because you or someone you love is thinking about the procedure yourself. So let me tell you why I'm making this. 5 years ago, I went into the Wolf Eye Clinic and I had Lasik eye surgery done on myself. I believed at the time, I believed the industry line that it was almost fail-safe, that they had a 99% success rate. That's really the general perception. It turns out that that is not true. And I believe what they told me about myself personally. I thought that they were giving me an honest diagnosis when they told me I was a perfect candidate for LASIK. It turns out it was a dishonest sales pitch. I ended up, as a result of LASIK, I ended up with profound double vision. I had to wear special prism eyeglasses for several years so that I would not be a dangerous driver. I ended up with seriously impaired visual acuity, and my eyes hurt all the time. To this day, I use eye drops 50 to 80 times a day, and that's just preventive. They still hurt all the time. I have spent more money on eyeglasses in the 5 years since I had LASIK than I spent in the previous rest of my life. I'm now down to needing just 3 different sets of prescription eyeglass lenses. And I've spent more money trying to cope with the damage done to my eyes by the Wolf Eye Clinic than I paid them to do the damage in the first place. And after I walked out of that clinic after my last prepaid appointment, trying to get them to even respond to any of my phone calls or letters, all of which are posted on my website, was, as I put it in the introduction to my book, All Hands on Deck, like trying to communicate with a dead bug. You know how if you buy a yellow Volkswagen, you think you're going to have the only one around? I mean, who's got a yellow Volkswagen? So you buy the car and you go out and you hit the road and all of a sudden you see yellow Volkswagens everywhere. That's the way it was with me with LASIK. I thought it was 99% successful until I started talking about it. And what I realized is that there are a lot of people who have had serious and permanent eye damage caused by LASIK eye surgeons who told them that they were perfect candidates, who told them that all the bugs have been worked out of the procedure, that it's perfectly safe today. And now I know that it's simply not true. In fact, if you get 10 people in a room who have had LASIK, just randomly selected, chances are that 2 out of those 10 people will say it was a mistake. It was maybe, as in my case, the biggest mistake they've ever made. I was giving a talk for 650 people at a conference for operating room managers. Now, if a LASIK surgeon should have a friend in the world, you would think it would be an operating room manager. And because I was talking about ethics and ethics in the medical profession, and in this case, the failure of ethics in the LASIK industry, you would think that I was signing books afterwards. You would think that somebody would have come up and said, Joe, you're wrong. Not one person did. But 12 different people shared their stories, their horror stories about LASIK disasters that they had witnessed in the operating room, that they had had themselves in 1 or 2 cases, or friends and family members. One operating room manager said, she said, quote, I believe that LASIK will be the next Dalcon Shield, referring to one of the most horrible product liability problems in the history of medicine. I don't know if I'd go quite that far, partly because there is such an incredible conspiracy of silence surrounding LASIK. Nobody within the little fraternity is willing to speak out against it. If you talk to any ophthalmologist or LASIK surgeon included one-on-one, they will all agree, and at least all the ones I've ever spoken to, they will all agree, yes, there are incompetent surgeons out there. Yes, there are unethical LASIK mills out there. Yes, they are using unethical, deceptive, fraudulent advertising to promote LASIK as being safe when it's not totally safe. And when you ask them, well, why aren't you saying anything about it? They say, not my job. And when you say, well, will you at least support me in my efforts? More than often than not, they say, please, just be quiet about it. I was appalled, absolutely appalled, when I learned after I had had my eyes mangled by the Wolf Eye Clinic that Dr. Morris Waxler, the FDA commissioner who more than any other person was responsible for getting LASIK approved back in the mid-1990s when he was at the Food and Drug Administration, today is leading a campaign to outlaw the procedure. And what he says in his submission to the FDA is that LASIK was approved because the industry submitted deceptive and false and fraudulent data, and in fact, he's also urging a criminal investigation. Now, when I went in to have LASIK done, they gave me a consent form. They'll do the same to you or to your loved one. That consent form did not say anything about the fact that the man who got LASIK approved is now leading the campaign to outlaw it. They won't tell you that either. I'll bet you dimes to donuts. Any ethical doctor who is about to do something to your eyes that could cause serious, permanent, irreparable damage that many people have said ruined their lives, any ethical doctor would say, you know, I think it's very safe. Here are the potential problems. But you should know that the man who got LASIK approved is now saying that it should be outlawed. I don't agree with that, but you have a right to know that. And the fact is, that is not being done. I spoke with a TV producer who is doing a national show on LASIK. It was a 15-minute show. There's a link on the website you're at. And here's what he said. He said, I've been all around the world. I've done some pretty amazing stories, but I have never seen anything like the way the LASIK industry has circled the wagons around unethical and incompetent doctors and deceptive and fraudulent advertising. There's a trial lawyer who has won several multi-million-dollar lawsuits against LASIK surgeons. And when he testified before an FDA hearing, one of the things he said is this. He said, this is the Wild West of modern medicine. This is the ultimate buyer beware, because they're bad doctors, unethical doctors, dishonest doctors, incompetent doctors don't come with a warning label. And nobody else in the profession is willing to point out who you can trust and who you can't trust. That is up to you. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I am hoping to get you to ask the questions I should have asked before I let them cut on my eyes. I am hoping to get you to do the research I should have done before I let them cut on my eyes. I am hoping to get you to think twice, think 3 times the way I should have done before I let them cut on my eyes. It was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. I regret that mistake every hour of every day, including several times during the night when I have to get up and put in eye drops. I hope that your loved one will ask the questions, will do the research, will think twice before you submit to an elective cosmetic procedure, the damage from which could be permanent, irreparable, and life-ruining. And I hope you will watch the other videos on this website. I hope you read all the documents. I hope you will go to all of the different web links. You're about to make, your loved one's about to make, probably the most important decision of a lifetime, especially if it doesn't go well. Do your homework. Please do your homework.